Hey YouTube, welcome back to my channel. My name is Dion. Today is June 6th. Yes, today is June 6th. This is chapstick. This is candy cane. I picked it up at random. If you're new here, hello and welcome. My name is Dion and I call this the crazy troll nation of YouTube. The crazy, just enjoying the videos you do. And whether you do videos or not, enjoying watching the channels that you watch. Enjoying your time here on YouTube. The crazy part is... I'm just so excited. This is the Fenty eyeshadow primer. The crazy part is not allowing the beauty community, excuse me, to set your standards. Try not to feel like you need to use a certain brand or a certain tool or a certain technique. Use whatever you want to use, however you want to use it, and just rock it. So not taking to heart too much what the beauty community standards are. Just rock it. Know you are the bomb. Wear whatever you want to. Here at the Crazy Troll Nation, it is about self-acceptance and self-love. Embracing your natural features, enhancing them if you want to, when you want to, but never feeling like you have to. Here, again at the Crazy Troll Nation of YouTube, self-acceptance, self-love. That is the Crazy Troll Nation way. Know that you are acceptable. You are polished. Know that you rock, even without face paint on. Try not to feel like you're less than, or that you need a makeup tool or to do what other people are doing to feel like your makeup looks nice. You set the standard for yourself. That, in a nutshell, is the concept of the Crazy Troll Nation. I do use foul language on my channel sometimes because I use foul language in real life sometimes. So what you see is what you get. Why am I excited about this video? Because we are going to farfanoog to the shindig and get jiggy with it. These will be my first two looks with the Natasha Denona Yucca palette. And this is the intro because I know it's typical to do the intro at the end with the final look, but I'm not going to remember all of my thoughts all the way to the end. We are going to do this how we did the Moolah Bank video. One look, one look. That'll be one clip. One look, same eye, third clip, second clip, second clip. Can I count? That's only two. Girl. I'm excited. I need to just calm down. Fourth look, fifth look, that'll be the same clip. And then the sixth look, the same look on both eyes will be the final clip. To make it more digestible for you, because I know this is going to be long. That video, I think, was an hour. To make it more digestible, I'm going to time it the same as far as timestamps. And so this is the intro. When we start the first look, it'll be a timestamp creating the first look, and then final first look and my thoughts about that look, and then creating the second look, the finished second look, and my thoughts about that look. So you hear my thoughts along the process. And when I look back at Moolah Bank, I really liked how I did that because there were some challenges in the beginning, but as I kept using the shadows and even some of the same shades, the performance changed because I was changing my technique and changing the tools I was using. So it was very much a learning process. And I really like that. And some of you really like that as well. In comparison to when I did the Okavanga looks, I did one each video and my thoughts changed dramatically from each video. So if someone just saw the first look, they're like, oh wow, great. And if they just watched the last video, it's like, dang, you know what I mean? And so I feel like the entire process, the consistency of seeing the process may have been missed. And so I will, for the most part, just do multiple look videos this way when I do get a new palette, so you can see the entire process, hear my thoughts as I go along. You can see if there's challenges and what I think about them, how I fix them, if I can fix them, and things like that. And then at the end, of course, we'll wrap up just overall what my thoughts are about the palette. I will tell you right now, I love Natasha Denona's Cream to Powder and Creamy Matte Formula. Her foiled shades are new for me, and there's 4 sparkling foiled metallics. 1, 2, 3, 4. This one here is just a regular metallic. Everything else in here, all the other mattes, this and this are cream to powder. All the other mattes are just creamy mattes. And so we are going to get started, but first let me show you what brushes we're going to use for this look. I have out 4 Esom V27s. These are dense short packer brushes. I have out 4 Scott Barnes number 61. According to him and what his previous website said, these were for using in your crease because you just put them in and just, you know, run the color back and forth. But for me, because I take my lid shades into my crease in transition, I usually use this for upper transition just to stamp where, you know, my fake crease will be. I have out 2 domed shadow brushes. These are Esom V31. And I also have out 2 angled shadow brushes. These are Esom T37. The reason I have both of these is these are not very dense. And since we're using cream to powder formula, if I need something more dense, that's when we'll go in with these. And also these, because they're tapered, it'll give me more precision. Because sometimes with these, I miss getting close to the lash line just because of the shape. But I do really like angled shader brushes. For lower lash line, I have out 4 of my Fenty number 220, and these are called Precision Brush. And I love these for lower lash line because they are pointed, excuse me for stammering, and so I can get it where I want it and then, you know, put it sideways and blend it down if I want to. So those are the brushes that we have out to use. If something changes, I'll let you know. I want to just get the looks done and not have to keep stopping this brush, that brush, because this is going to be long. And so having said that, the first thing we're going to do is, not that I even usually use the Mirrors in palettes, but we're going to peel this off. We are going to get started. The only thing on my face, a Fenty primer and foundation and a Fenty Brow MVP, and you saw me apply chapstick and you saw me apply the Fenty eye primer. The reason I'm doing these 2 looks is because I want to use this and this on the lid because they're looking the same on people, and I want to see if they're going to look the same on me. And so one will be on one eye and one on the other. I will show you the shade before I apply it. So we're going to take Plantasia, this shade here, which is a shifty shade. So you see it's gold and then it's not gold. That is going to go, this will be look number 1. And I'm putting it directly on top of primer. I do my lid shades first and put them directly on top of primer so they stick. If I do my transition first, then I'll end up trying to put lid shades on top of another shade, and then it may not adhere the way I want it to. And so that's why I do my lid shades first. And if I'm having trouble with a shimmer shade, this one is a little flaky in the pan and it is soft. So I'm pressing it back in around the corners where it's trying to flake out. If I'm having trouble with a shimmer, I use a sponge tip applicator, which to me mimics a finger. I do not like to use my fingers for makeup because troll hair is messy. And so that's why I don't do that. And I don't want to take the extra step to wet the brush. I just want to put it in, whether the brush or the sponge tip, and then put it on my lid. I don't want to work for my makeup. I want it to work for me because I paid for it. So you're going to work for me, okay, girl, sir, ma'am, non-binary. You're going to work for me. So this is that shade. We're going to take Komorebi. We're going to take Komorebi. These sparkling foiled metallics are very soft. I do see a difference because this does have a flip to it. This is just one solid foil shade. But I can see, because someone put this first half of the lid and this on the second, it looked exactly the same. And that happens to me with some of the lethal metallics. I put one on the first half of the lid, another on the second half of the lid, and when I blend it, it just looks like one solid dual chrome. And so that may be what's happening. But it does look very similar, but at the same time, when you turn, you can see the shift here, and on this side you don't. But if you place them side by side, they are going to look the same. And also it may be my complexion, it may be my undertone, so that's something to consider as well. We're going to take Alicia, this shade here, and that's going to go on the second half of the lid. We're going to take Makia, this shade here, that's going to go on the second half of the lid on this side. Looking at this, I'm wondering if this shade, Makia, next to Elysian would look the same, if it would just blend into like the same kind of dual chrome. And when you look at it, it looks different. This is Elysium, this shade here. This is Makia, which is this shade over here. But I do like how they're performing with what I placed it next to. These two shades, I do really like how they look together. This one I like it too because you can see the differentiation in tones and it's not just blending together into one solid shade, where this one, you may look at it and think it's a dual chrome because you see the greenish from this shade and you see the gold from this shade. So this is one of those things I was just saying that happens to me with some of Lethal shadows, is when I put them side by side and blend them, it does look like just one shade. But just looking straight, you can see, okay, this is gold, this is green. But when you turn, it just blends together. And I love when that happens because I think it's beautiful. All is well in Trollville. These four are the four sparkling foiled metallics. And so we have all four of those on, and this is what they look like. We're going to take Tapu. And ooh, this is powdery. So be careful with this one, and maybe because of how I tapped it and turned the brush versus swiping. But I think if I would have swiped it, it wouldn't have done that, because now that I'm just patting it, it's not creating kick up. But this is going to go on the first half of my upper transition area. So we're just going to tap this right here. We're going to take Citrine, this shade here, and we're going to do the same thing on the other eye. We're just going to tap along the top edge. This one does not have as much kick up as Tapu did, and maybe because I went in more aggressively, and that's the learning experience. It's like I went in, I'm like, oh my gosh, just all this kick up, and then when I patted it, it didn't. This one I was a little more gentle. And there's no kick up in the pan, and these are both creamy mattes. They're the same formula. Tapu is more dirty. This is Tapu. This is Citrine. I am digging it. We're going to take Fushi, this shade here, and we're going to tap this on the top edge of our outer lid shade. Acacia, this shade here. And this is going to go on the second half of our upper transition shade. Because we don't technically have a shade we're using for our brow bone, we're just going to feather this upward. So we're going to go back to Fushi. Which brush had Fushi? This one. And we're going to just lightly dust. We did not add any additional shadow to either one of these brushes. We're just using whatever's in the brush just to feather it upward. We're going to take Flax, this shade here in the corner, and we're going to initially just press. That is nice. I'm wondering though if I do want to take it a little deeper, and I think I do. So we're going to take the tapered dense brush and we're going to turn. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring this up here and over to give me a little bit of, ooh, this is what I wanted. A little bit of depth in this outer transition area. Then again, just a tip of it to make sure I get down near the lash line. We're going to take Ixia, this shade here. And for this one, because it is a flat brush, even though it's angled, I do just tap straight in because it coats the entire brush. I love angled brushes. I'm thinking now, like, is this going to go with all these greens? We're going to find out. Oh, that's funky in a good way. This is making me think to put an orange eyeliner on. We're going to take the tapered blending brush, even though I don't think this needs anything else, but we are still going to, oh, it's like blending in so nice. I love this formula. I know I keep saying that. So we're doing here, and then we're coming down like a V shape, making sure we get the lower lash line. So we're coming straight over and then straight down. So it's like a sideways V. Or that mathematics sign where it's like greater than and then less than. But if I, turn my head sideways, it will look like a V. But this way it's more a mathematical sign versus a V, but they call it the outer V. We're going to take two NYX retractable eyeliners. We're going to take Golden Olive for under this eye, and we're going to take Gold for under this eye. We have the Golden Olive on, lower lash line here, and inner rims, top and bottom for both eyes. And now we're going to take the gold and put that lower lash line over here. We're going to take Alicia, and this is going to go on the first half of our lower lash line. And we're going to take Calathea on the second half of the lower lash line. And we are going to bring it up here. We're going to take Komorebi, and that's going to go on the first half of the lower lash line on this side. I'm just bringing this further into the inner corner. Wow. And since we did that, we're going to take the brush that had this shade on it, and we're just going to bring that up too. Okay. We're going to take Ixia, this shade here, and this is going to go on the second half of the lower lash line over here. Komorebi did give me a lot of fallout, so what I'm going to do, I am going to put more foundation on. I'm going to figure out face stuff, and I'll do that, and I will figure out eyeliner, mascara, and a lip, and then we're going to come back. But I'm going to do all of that and then come back and just tell you what it is, so that this is not unnecessarily longer than it needs to be. This is the finished look. Oh my goodness. Okay, let me tell you what I did. I'll show you the brushes I used first, and then I'll show you what I used. For bronzer type thing, we used an angled bronzer slash blush brush. To set my makeup, I used just a tapered fluffy brush. For highlight, I used two different ones because I used two different highlighters, and both of these are just fluffy highlighter brushes. And this is, I believe it's a foundation brush, but it's just a dense brush, and I used this for a cream product. And yes, I did put the cream on top of the powder. So what I did first, foundation, cleaned up, did that, and we went into, since we're using Natasha Denona shadows, we used the Natasha Denona Tan, Bronze, and Glow palette. This here is a cream, so we put that here first, and then we put this on top of it. Then we went in with this and used it as our bronzer blush situation, and also here and across the forehead. And then the second highlighter brush, we used this and just lightly tapped over where we put the dark shade. So that's the cheek. Ooh, stuck my finger in it. That's the cheek situation. Excuse me, backing up. To set the face, Fashion Fair Set It Loose powder and Truly Tawny. Then we used for eyeliner. Y'all know I had to do contrasting colors, and we used just thin pointed pencil brushes for the eyeliner. And for this eye, both of them we used Melt gel liners. Melt Ultra Matte gel liners. This is Cultura. This is this shade, and we just did a tiny wing, which did kind of blend in with the shadows that are around it, those orangey tones. So we use that on that eye, y'all. I'm just, and we use Fortune on this eye. This one I use the most. So that's the one on this side, and again, just a little tiny wing. And then I thought, well, let me not get ahead of myself. Mascara. I was going to be funky, and I said, you know what? Both of these looks are bomb, so let's just keep it simple. So we used the black mascara. This is MAC Stack Mascara. And then I'm like, a lip. Eleanor was calling me because that would go with this. And this does almost kind of remind me of a look I've done with Moolah Bank. But then I thought, I want darker. And this eye being a little darker, I'm like, Dark Forest, number 29, Sephora Collection Cream Liquid Lip Color. So that is what is on the lips. Y'all, this look right here. I am so friggin' excited that I got this palette, because even though I kept saying I have a lot of greens, when I showed you the greenish palettes, or the green palettes, excuse me, that I had when I did the swatch video, I'm like, I wasn't really seeing it. Maybe the shimmers according to the swatches, yes. And even now looking at this inner corner shade and this inner corner shade, I do think I can do those with Moolah Bank, but the formulas are different. The ones in Moolah Bank, there is a whole lot more fallout. And even with, what shade was it? I want to say, yeah, this one, Komorebi, excuse me, I know I pronounced that wrong. This one gave me a lot of fallout, but it was still very minimal compared to the Moolah Bank shimmers in there. Those are, they're more chunky, but not chunky monkeys like the Celestial shades. But the formulas are completely different. These are foiled, those are not. So that's something to consider too. Like, even if you have the color story, do you want the formula? I wanted the creamy matte creamy powder formulas. I'm like, when I saw this, I'm like, I'm getting it because I know I love her formula. But even though I am seeing now where The shimmers are similar to the Moolah Bank, but the formulas are different, and I do like how these perform. These foiled shades over here, I just had a few flecks of fallout. It was this shade in particular that I got the most fallout, and it still was not even a lot. Not even a lot. And if that's an issue for you, either do your base face second, or like me, just put on your foundation just for the sake of the video, and then just add more later to clean it up. And some people, they do their face and then they just add concealer later to clean it up. And so there's ways to do it. But for me, fallout is not always up here. I had a couple flakes on my nose. I had a couple flakes over here. And then when I touched it, it just smeared it. So my fallout is not always just under my eye. It may be on my cheek. It may be, you know, between my nose and my lip area here, maybe on my nose. And so, you know, you have to find, well, you don't have to, but I encourage you, excuse me for smacking, just to find what works for you to clean up your makeup the way you want to, and not necessarily trying to do it the way somebody else does, but just find your own way. And that's what I love about makeup, is just finding your own way, doing what you want, learning what you like, and then just rocking it. But both of these looks right here, y'all. And honestly, when I was finishing my face, I'm thinking, I don't even want gold palette anymore, because I think this would look similar to gold, but then because there's different formulas in that palette, I'm still like, oh no. If I see it half off, I would really be tempted. So again, these first two columns, column 1, column 2, we use those 6 shades on this lid. Column 3 and column 4, these two columns, we use these 6 shades on this lid. And let me know what you think of these looks. It is important for me for shadows in a palette to not dupe themselves. And, you know, this one and this one are possible dupes, depending on how the light hits it, because this is a dual chrome. But those are just some of my additional thoughts. I am loving both of these looks. I'm loving the performance of the creamy mattes and the cream to powders. All the mattes we used were creamy mattes, except this one and this one were cream to powder. And you saw the types of brushes that I used. I didn't have any trouble getting the shadows on. They blended out well. I am really just digging it. I'm going to go because we have a lot more to do. You'll see me in a few seconds. Today's June 7th. We're doing the third look. This is chapstick. This is Vanilla Mint. If I look tired, it's because I am. The only thing on my face, Fenty Brow MVP in dark black. Dark black or deep black? You would think I would know by now. It's the only one I use. Deep black. I used to use soft black, and then I started getting the deep black. And Fenty face primer and the Fenty foundation. You just saw me apply chapstick. The Fenty eye primer, as usual. The brushes that I have set out to use today is a short, oh my gosh, I do need a nap. A short dense shader brush. This is the Esom V27, Esom T37, the angled brush. Esom V31, the tapered pointed brush. Scott Barnes number 62, a fluffy blending brush. 2 Fenty Precision brushes for lower lash line. These are the 220s, and a pointy pencil brush for our upper lash line. So what we're doing today, we're going to do these 3 shades, and so it's going to be a very simple look. We're going to start with Ray, and we're going to take this all over the lid. Ray is the only regular metallic in here. The other 4 are called sparkling foiled metallics. So Ray is the odd man out here. Goes on very smooth, very easy, as you see. We're going to take Camu Camu or Camu Camu for our transition shade. So we're turning the brush, and we're also going straight in. When I go straight in, it is puffing up powder, but when I was just turning it and patting it, it was not. So you will get some kick up depending on how you pick up the shade on whatever tool you are using. And this, wow, is it there? This reminds me of some of the shades in Mission XXX where they look vibrant. And not that this looks particular, well, yeah, it does. Now that I'm looking at it, it looks vibrant, but it goes on not vibrant. And we are layering some because you see we took Ray all the way up. So I don't know if that has something to do with it or not. Now we're going to take Willow with the angled brush, and that's going to go on the outer corner. This is layering well over Ray. I was concerned that maybe it wouldn't. We're going to take this brush and go into that same shade Willow. We're going to make sure we're close to our lower lash line. We're going to fill in the gap in the crease area, which is right here, which the other brush missed because it's a flat brush and my lids are not flat. And we're also going to take this along this top edge of Ray, which is in the middle of where Ray and Camu Camu is. We're going to go back to Camu Camu, this shade here, and we're going to sweep this under the brow. I took a little bit more of Ray just to sweep along where we have put that green on that side. Next, retractable eyeliner and golden olive on our lower lash line. We're going to take Ray on the first half of the lower lash line, and then we're going to take a clean brush and take Willow on the second half of the lower lash line. We're going to take the brush that had Camu Camu on there, not adding any additional shadow, and we're just going to buff underneath. We're going to take Melt's gel liner in Fortune, the one that we used yesterday, and we're going to put this on our upper lash line. We're going to do Fenty Ivy League mascara because I think it's about to die, and we're going to do the same cheek situation we did yesterday, and I think we're going to just go ahead and put Eleanor on the lips today. That's going to be so green. I don't want to do that. Okay, let me think about that while I'm doing the other stuff. So what we did was we powdered down with the Fashion Fair Set It Loose powder and Chewy Tawny with this brush, the same brushes we used yesterday. And for this cheek situation, we did the same exact thing yesterday with the same exact brushes. For our lips today, we filled in and lined with the Sephora Collection Rogue or Rouge Gel Lip Liner, and this shade is Dark Horse. It's patchy. And over top of that, I put on the Stila Beauty Boss Lip Gloss, and this shade is Bonus Baby. It was a lot of work, and it's patchy. This one on patchy. I don't know if my lips are dry or what, but I use chapstick all the time. I don't have that issue. This is very creamy. It's very, it's not going to stay. And putting gloss on it just made it more shiny, and I know it's going to be all over my teeth and over anything that my lips accidentally touch, such as if I'm wiping my face or drinking water. This is not going to stay. So anyway, this is the finished look. To me, it's boring because it's just straight green. If you're a green lover, which I am, but I like to mix it up, what I would love to do is to put like a brown in the outer corner or something, but we're experimenting. We're doing simple. We did two columns, and now this column. So that's why this look is the way it is. Even though this looks bluish in the pan, you saw it turned out green. Did it turn out more green because we layered it over Ray? Or is it really just more green than it looks in a pan? Y'all know say. I don't know. I do like the look. It's just bland. That's the word. For me, it's just bland. Because y'all know I like a lot of colors. Like the two looks I did yesterday. Lots of color, lots of vibrancy. And this is vibrant, excuse me. But it's just very monochromatic. But if you're into greens and you're into monochromatic and you're into very easy looks, just 3 shades. If you wanted to do a halo, take Ray higher up into the transition area up here, and then add Willow, a little bit of Willow on the inside, and then there you go, you have your spotlight look. Very simple, very easy. This shade did not show up, but it was great for blending out, but it could just be my complexion and my undertone. But this is good for me for blending out another shade. It was not a color. So that's something to consider if you're around my complexion, like how it's going to look on you. And again, we did kind of layer it too. So I think on its own, it would be even lighter in tone than it showed up over Ray. And even placing it up top and layering a little bit over the top edge of this shade, Camu Camu still really wasn't there. It really wasn't showing up. But I don't dislike the look. It's just a little bland. I do think it's pretty. I do like the green with the purple lip, but this lip is just busted, and I know it's busted. What else did we use? I did tell you that we were going to use Ivy League from Fenty. It's still good. My label says it expired in May. Today is June 7th. I showed you the liner that we used. We went simple. I was going to put Contemplative State from MAC, and I said, no, let's just keep it simple. So this is a deep green, and we did our little double wing thing that I am really digging. So very simple, very easy look. So that'll be it for this portion. Thank you for being here. Let me know what you think of this look. Ignore the lip, because I know it's really janky, it's really patchy. But what do you think about the eye look? Like, if you're in the greens, like, is this something you would do? And if you have these shades of greens, you can easily do this if this is what you would like to do. And also, what are your thoughts on if you did a halo look by just adding some of this green just here? That would be very, very easy. I do love the lower lash line. I think that turned out really nice. And so that's my thoughts on this look. Right now we can say we have used every shade in here. So I'm excited to see what the rose look like. We're going to still have on the lab coat, and we're just going to see what happens. And so thank you, and you will see me in a few seconds. Hey, today's June 8th. This is me stammering. This is Pumpkin Pie Chapstick. I have a question before we get started. And be honest, my feelings are not easily hurt. I'm not easily offended. This screen back here, I do try to position it, and I try to position, like now you can see the top edge. I do try to position my phone where it looks like it's just a wall. You don't see that edge. You don't see the top. You don't see this edge over here. How would you feel if you did see the edges? Meaning if I didn't have it, because right now, if I lean back, I can touch it. Over here, I can definitely touch it without even leaning. And I don't have a lot of space. It's sitting in the middle of the floor. And so because I've been doing videos every day, I do just leave it here because it's easier to leave it up than to reposition it, sit down, put my phone up, and I'm like, darn, I can see the edge. Then I got to get up, go move it, and I see here, darn, you can see that edge. Get up, go move it, and have it where it looks how it looks now. And so I usually, and it's 4 panels, 1, 2, 3, 4. So usually I just fold back these 2 panels, so just these 2 are in the floor and it's at an angle, so I can just open the side panels, and usually it's where it needs to be. I imagine it does look more professional because you do just see me and you see the background, even though sometimes like the hinges part does annoy me, but anyway, I can't do anything about that. Excuse me if you heard that. Would it matter to you if you could see the top edge? I do like having that edge covered because I have like my other stuff back there that you used to see in all my other videos before I started using the screen again. But would you care if you saw the top edge? And I'm asking because I do have another one of these. It's folded up and it's under my bed. And so I could just push it further back and bring out the other one just to have everything covered as far as the sides, and you wouldn't see the edges on the sides. And because it would be further back, it wouldn't be in the middle of my floor. But I want to know what you think of that. And I'm also kind of wondering, with the stuff that's over there, I would have to slide the other one out far enough to cover that. So the question is, do you care if you see the top edge? Because I do think it is nice that it looks like it's just a wall, or, you know, you don't see other stuff. And so just let me know, would you care if you saw the top edge? Like if this was like this, and not that it would be at this angle, but if you could see the top edge like that, why is it still moving? If you could see the top edge like that, like, would it bother you? And not that I would be down here, but it's saying everything was level as far as how I look. Would you care if that looked like that? Because I'm looking at it and it's looking kind of unsightly, but let me know what you think. So I'm just trying to figure out, keeping things the way it looks nice, looks a little more professional, even though y'all know I'm not. But for your ease of viewing and not being distracted by, you know, the fire extinguisher thing that was up there on the wall or whatever. So that's the question for this portion completely, not makeup related, so thank you for bearing with me. Brushes we're using today, this same one we've been using, the Fenty blending brush, which to me I use as a packer. This one that we've been using, this one, this one, eyeliner brush. I use this for liner underneath lower lash line. I think it's a crease brush, I don't know, but that's what I use it for. I'm using this one, and I'm saying this because you've seen me use these in these other clips. This one you haven't seen in any of these clips. It's a Scott Barnes, and it's just a really thick smudger brush. And I like this for lower lash line because I can place and blow out the shade at the same time. And another Blend Bunny brush. This one I do believe is a crease brush, but I use them all for lower lash line. My lids are sticking. I do have my Fenty eyeshadow primer on, of course. Fenty foundation and primer, Fenty brows. We're going to take Ray, this shade here, and that's going to go on the first half of the lid. We're going to take Elysian, this shade here. This is a sparkling frost metallic. Ray is just a regular metallic, and that's going to go on the second half of the lid. Komarobi, first half of the lid. This one is reminding me, sorry for smacking, more and more of one of the Chunky Monkey Celestial shades. It's not super chunky like that, but when it is a chunk in it, it does smooth out. And I think it's Moonlit Seduction in particular, the chunkiest monkey of them all, that one shade. You have to get the chunk on it and then smooth it out. If you don't put the chunk on at all, the shade looks almost non-existent. And this is a lot creamier than that one. I can see dips in it as I'm swiping my brush in it. And so after I swipe, wherever there's a buildup or a gap, then I go back and just push it down just to try to keep the shadow even in the pan. And then I just take it and smear it on my eyelid. Acacia, this is going to go on the outer half of the lid. I do not dispute the shades look similar. These two look more dissimilar to me because this is just a metallic. Ray is the only just plain metallic. All the other one are sparkling foiled metallics. And so it is clear that this is more sparkly. Someone did say, and I forget who it was, their theory was because 4 of them are sparkling foiled metallics. Let me try it again. Because 4 of them are sparkling foiled metallics, they said that's the reason that they all look so similar, because they're so shiny, and even though they look different, it is sort of like a sheer wash. So that's what they said, and I do kind of see what they're saying, and I was thinking, like, is that why they look the same? Just because they're foiled, and so you're going to have that high shine, which can reduce what the color actually looks like. So that's something to think about. So I'm still trying to process that to see, does that feel true for me? But when she said it, I'm like, it may be. I don't know. We're going to take Citrine. That's going to go on the first half of our transition area, upper transition area. We're going to take Valley. This is a different brush than the other one. Well, the same, it's just a clean one. Let me say it that way. And we're tapping over here. Camu, transition area, upper transition area over here. Calathea. We're going to take this and create an outer V. And if that doesn't work, we'll just use it just for the outer corner period. I'm making sure I'm getting along the lash line, which may, excuse me, or may not be that important because we are going to put liner there. And so we're just getting our shape right now. And we are going to bring this lightly over into the upper transition area just to get some definition here, because all those shades were just kind of blending into one, which was really nice. And we're going to go in small circular motions just to blend this up just a little bit. Does this look like a look I did yesterday? We're going to take NYX Retractable Eyeliner, and this shade is Gold, and this is going to go on lower lash line of both eyes. Ray, first half of lower lash line. Tapu, outer half of lower lash line. Plantasia, lower lash line. We're going to press this in. I chose this brush because it's wide. I think I might have mentioned that earlier. Calathea, That's also going to go lower lash line closer to our lash line. I am liking the look of a darker shade close to lash line and then a shimmer shade blown down. I know that's not typical, but we're not typical here. Y'all know that. That is it for the shadows. We have a little bit of fallout, just a tiny bit, like less than before. The brush we use for foundation, this is the foundation and primer. So we're just going to just tap just a little bit. I just have just a teeny tiny bit. It's not even on my nose and down here like it was before. We're going to use the same products, base face, as we did for the previous clips. And then we're going to come back and I will show you what lip we use. So powder down is going to be the same. The cheek situation is going to be the same. I'll figure liner, mascara, lip, do all of that. And then we will be back with the finished look. Here we have the finished look. For the face, we use the same brushes that we've been using for all of these clips. For upper lash line, Fenty's Fly Liner, and the shade is called In Big Truffle. This is the shade of it, but on me it turns up like a burgundy-ish, kind of. And since that did that, and it always does, we used the Fenty Full Frontal in Miss Merlot because I thought that would play nice off of the liner. And so that's what's on my lashes today. For lips, we used Maybelline Glitter Fix Glitter Lip Gloss, and the shade is Shadow Hunter. And we didn't layer it over anything, we just put it on. And I'm realizing how thick it feels. And I think I didn't notice it before because I always layered it over a liquid lipstick. So I thought maybe it was that combination. And it feels comfortable on. I am liking how this looks with the eye look. I would say let me know if this looks like a look I did yesterday. But I'll see it when you see it, when we're watching it back. Yesterday's look was this column. This row today are the shades over here. So maybe it's just how Ray is showing up. That still isn't right though. Did I mix up something? I just realized I mixed up the shades. I think this green is Calathea, right? This eye is supposed to be this row. And maybe that's why it looks similar, because the last look was these three. And so we had Ray in this one, and in this eye, not in this eye, on this eye we use Ray. And then I messed up and put this for the outer V. I tried so hard not to confuse myself, and as y'all see, I still did. Wow. Okay, so anyway, so that explains why this looks the same, which tells us this shade on me looks similar to this shade. And it may be what I layered it over top of, how they mix together. So since we got that all mixed up, and Calathea was supposed to be on the outer V on this eye, we're still just going to go ahead and do that. I clicked off my recorder and clicked it back on because I'm looking like that's what we were going to do. So we're just we're going to bring it just above the eyeliner because I don't want to cover that up. So we're getting as close as we can to the eyeliner without messing it up. And you know what? I figured out why I put that there, because it was looking bland like yesterday's look. So I was like, oh, let me just put a darker shade there, not realizing I was mixing up the rows. And I do like how this looks. So we're just going to blend this. I am digging this. That did a lot. I am digging this. It did take away some of that outer corner shade that we used. So we're just going to pick up a random brush and we're going to pick up some of the Kohlrabi and just put that back a little bit over here. Oh, that works well with this brush. This is a hella old Sephora brush and it's dense, and actually it's more dense than the Eastern one I was using. Like that went on like super easy. Yeah, I'm digging this. All right, we are done. Yeah, apologies for that. I'm digging it. I'm digging it. This to me is still, it's too much like yesterday, and it is a little bland still. My thoughts on the look though, I do still think it's pretty. I like how these two shades work well together. So it's kind of like, is it there, is it not there? It's a little something something. But when you turn, this looks like just a dual chrome across the entire lid. And I do like when shades look that way. Adding the wrong shade here. Did add to it. It added some depth to the look. If you do just want a more ethereal look, don't add the darker shade, or just put it just on the outer corner and not bring it over into the upper transition area. This look I am digging. This look I am really digging. So that'll really be it for this clip, and you will see me in the next one. June 9th, this is Sugar Cookie Chapstick. Y'all, I was so tired today, and I'm like, one more video, one more, and then these will be done. All the other clips are edited, so I just need to edit this one, add it on, and then schedule for upload. Brushes we're going to use today, fluffy shader brushes, even though it says they're blending brushes, a short stubby shader brush, a fluffy tapered blending brush, 2 short stubby eyeliner brushes, and a short stubby eyeliner brush. So those are the brushes that we're using. We are using the bottom row, this one down here. I didn't forget my lab coat today. I was so busy doing them other 2 videos, and then I just jumped into the look, and when I was editing, I'm like, I didn't have on my lab coat. But anyway, I have it on today, all is well. We're going to take Willow. Willow is going to go on the inner and outer most corners. My eyes are primed with the Fenty eyeshadow primer, of course. I have on the Milk Hydro Grip face primer because my Fenty face primer is done. And I do have on the Fenty foundation and the Fenty Brow MVP. So that's everything that's on my face. We're going to use the tip of the brush and just feather lightly the top edge. Excuse me if you heard my throat. Just to get our blend started. Flax, and that's going to go inside the inner corner and inside the outer corners. This is reminding me of a look done with the Salem Cosmetics Swamp of Sorrows palette, and that's what this looks like. So that green, either one of the greens, one is a matte and one is not, but either one of the greens and this brown down here in the corner is kind of reminding me of this. We're using the tip of this brush with flax on it, and we're just blending lightly over top of both of those shades. Makia. We're sweeping some lightly right here. We're going to go back with the brush that had flax on it, that brown. We're not adding any shadow on the brush, and we're just sweeping inward and outward. Inward and whatever word. Doing this is causing fallout from that center shade, which was Makia. So if you're going to do this, if you're going to feather over it, just know it's going to flake onto your face. And I didn't powder down, and so I'll do like I did before and just put more, ooh, it's pretty, foundation on. Fushi, that's going to go up here, upper transition area. This is the cream to powder formula, and so it's going on very sheer because we're not using a dense brush, which is great because this is doing exactly what I wanted to do. You can see a hint of the color, but not a lot. We're going to blend some of that here. We're going to clean up the fallout, and then for lower lash line, we're going to apply NYX retractable eyeliner, and this one is one that I should know because I use it a lot, Golden Olive. I always want to say olive green, but it's called Golden Olive. We did the same base face that we've been doing, and we've used the same brushes that we've been using for that. Ixia on the first half of the lower lash line, flax on the second half of lower lash line, and then we're going to put Makia in the middle. We're also going to bring flax up a little further to do our double wing thing that I've been really digging lately. We're going to take the brush that we used for our transition shade without adding any shadow to it. We're just going to buff under here. I initially thought to take a brown Max Fluid Line and dip down for upper lash line, and then I thought that's safe, so let's be funky. So we're going to use the Melt Gel Liner in Couture for our upper lash line, and we're going to put Ivy League Fenty Full Frontal Mascara on, and we're going to put on a MAC Love Me Liquid Lip Color. The shade is I Vote For Me. We're going to put this on the lips, and then we'll be back with the finished look. I think I'm going to throw this away. I just pulled the wand out. Look how messy this is. Like, is this going to... And it is running down. You see that clump? That's... See, you know what? This will be the last time I use this. And I had issues with some of MAC's other liquid lips because it would just, like, pull outward as if the seal wasn't there. But this... I'm glad I saw that, because if this would have dripped on my clothes or on my carpet, and I have enough makeup stains on my carpet already from stuff falling, this is unacceptable. Maybe I was supposed to shake it up first. Oh my gosh, this is horrible. This is definitely going in the trash after this look. I did close it and I shook it up because I wanted to see what the wand was going to look like. And so when I opened it, the middle part is clear, but at the top you can still see it dripping down, like up here. That's not something I want to be concerned about, because this color getting on my clothes, whatever. This is our finished look, and I am digging it. And it is reminding me of a look I did with Swamp of Sorrows, but that look was busted because the blending was busted. And I know it was, and I posted it anyway because that's what we do here. Good, bad, or indifferent, we are going to post a video and learn from it, and hope that those of you who see it learn from it too. So this, I'm digging it. I love that we did the contrasting liner. I love how all the shades work together. The sparkling foiled metallics in here, you will get fallout. How much depends on your tool and your technique. I only use synthetic brushes because my face does not like natural hair brushes. And if you're new here, I do have quite a bit of allergies to different things. But I'm not really seeing the Ivy League mascara, which is the green one. And that's okay, because I think we have enough visual interest with the little sparkle down here, the liner, the sparkle, up top, the halo spotlight look. And I'm really digging it because I do still struggle with halos and spotlight looks, but I think I finally found a way that I like on me. And of course I'm digging the cheek situation. It's the same one we've done for all of these clips. I do like this lip color. I have similar lip colors. After I do my flat lay, that one is going in the trash because I do not want to be concerned with dripping liquid lipsticks. I just do not. So let me know what you think of all of these looks. I'm going to look through the pictures in my phone, the ones that are still there of Moolah Bank, and I'm going to see if some of these looks were similar. I know in the beginning I said I wasn't really seeing similarities except for maybe some of the shimmers. The performance is different because these are foiled, the ones in Moolah Bank are not. But having applied them, I'm thinking that they are similar. So I'm going to look through the pictures, and if I see looks that are similar to the ones I've created with this palette, I will insert them somewhere in this video. And if I don't, that means I didn't find any that I thought were dupes as far as look, because the formulas are completely different. And so my overall thoughts about this palette, let me try and hold this like the professional YouTubers do. My overall thoughts on this palette, see, then it feels like I'm poking you in the eye, how this is just there. My overall thoughts of this palette, and I'm trying to get it where you can see the colors properly. I'm gonna just hold it upside down. Creature of habit, I do like the palette. This column that we did, that look was iffy because to me it just looked really bland. All the colors ran together. Putting this in the transition area, it did deepen it, but it was still just, it looked a little off to me. And I think because of how cool tone this showed up on me, or how neutral it showed up on me. But other than that, like if you like monochromatic green looks, that is a really simple look. And not particularly this palette, but if you have shades that are similar to these three, that's a very easy monochromatic look. On the lid, transition, outer corner. and a little bit in your transition if you want to. What surprised me is when I did the look with Ray again, mixing up the rose, and I put this in transition, it looks similar to when I did this look. And so that kind of threw me off, and it showed me, I think I did mention it in that clip yesterday, it showed me how this one and this one looks similar on my lid, and I think it's because we layered it over this shade, which is just the regular metallic. This is Ray, and so that may have something to do with it. If I would have just stuck with the rose and not confused my damn self, I think it would have looked different. And I should have just left this row the way it was without trying to deepen it. But when I looked at it, I'm like, this is just bland for me, because I like dark, I like smoky, I like swamp water. However, when I did add this shade to this look that we did this row, I really did like what it added, and it was a little more brown toned than this bluish green tone. And again, I think it's because of what we placed it around. And so I do like this shade. I do like all the shades. There is a learning curve to the sparkling foil metallics, because you will get fallout. For me, they work best with a short, dense shader brush. And as far as her cream to powder, if you want the most color payoff, just use a dense brush. If you want just a light wash like I did today, just use a fluffy brush, because you can see it's something there, but it's not how it turned up before when I used a more dense brush. And so what you get from the cream to powders depends on the tool that you use. And I heard someone say in order to get payoff, you have to use, or you should use, natural hair brushes, which my skin doesn't like natural hair brushes, so that is not an option unless I want irritation and breakouts. And so having said that, do the best you can with what you have. And I do like how these showed up. Like, they show up fine for me with the tools that I use. I do love her creamy matte formula as well. Everything applied really well. The lighter shades, this one, they kind of just blended in. And I still like the looks that I did though. This is a lighter palette that I'm used to, and in essence it reminds me of Moolah Bank as well, because I purchased that knowing is way lighter than I prefer, but because I like the brand and I like their formula, even though that palette took me through some changes. And I will link that in the cards and or pinned comment and or in the description box so you can see that video. But I do enjoy this palette. The more I use it, the more I like it, in contrast to Okavango. The more I use it, the more I disliked it because of the shimmers hitting hard pan. And one shadow in particular, Migrating Zebras, was unusable, because I do think that gray stripe is what needed to be scraped off, but I think it might run through the entire shadow, and I didn't want to dig into it like that. And some people were saying just scrape the top, put your brush on the top of your finger and use that. And I'm like, you know, if you want to do all of that, yes. But for a brand new palette, do you want it to work for you because you paid for it, or do you want to have to work it for it to work? And I prefer shadows that just work. If I need to change my tool, okay. If I need to change my technique, okay. But the shadow is still going to perform. You see what I'm saying? And so that's the difference for me. And that's why, one of the reasons why I knew I was getting this palette is because I like her cream to powder formula. I love her creamy matte formula as well. And this is a swamp water vibe to me. And so I knew I was getting it, period. Even though it's not dark and smoky, I like swamp water too. And so for me, it's not only color story, but it's also formula. Because the formula for me tells me how that shadow is going to perform. Once you become familiar with a certain brand and certain formulas they have, you learn to work with them and you learn to love them, you're going to gravitate to that over something else, in my opinion. And so I am enjoying this palette. I am glad the 6 looks are done. I was so tired today, and I'm like, I need to do this so I can get this edited, add it to the other clips, and schedule it. And I am excited to be watching this with you. And I will say again, the sparkling foil metallics in here, this one, this, and this, they do not look that different on the lid. They don't. And particularly this one and this one. This one does have a shift, and that's why it looks different. But when you put it this way, it almost looks the same. This is just a little more sparkly. And when I swatched them on my chin at a certain angle, I just noticed, oh, here's that bump that I had before. It's clearing up quite well. I was trying to avoid that when I did the swatches. But when I did the swatches at a certain angle, they looked the exact same. Like even this, well, no, because then the shift picks up. But anyway, they don't look that different. And this one, even though they look very different in the pan, when you put them on, they may not. And I think I may have mentioned, someone said because they're foiled, because they have that high shine is going to diminish the actual color of the shadow. And so it makes sense to me. And I did process it, and it does make sense to me. If something is just super shiny and it has the same base, whether it's a translucent base or not, it's going to show up the same or very similar. So that's something to consider if you're looking at this thinking, I want it for the sparkling foiled metallics. If they're going to show up the same on you, like, is it worth it to have 4 of them in a palette? This is a $69 palette. There are codes, there are coupons, you know, there's stuff you can do, or just wait till whenever it goes on sale, or the Sephora Rouge sale, or whatever, or your Ulta points to get this and not have to pay actual additional cash for it. And so those are just things to think about. I am biased because I love her formula, the Creamy Matte and Cream to Powder. The sparkling foiled metallics is a new formula for me, but I learned to work them, and I actually do really like them. And I am enjoying this palette overall. The only thing I wasn't thrilled about was how this look came out until I put this in the transition area, because it was just too monochromatic for me, even though I do think the look was pretty. So those are my final thoughts on this palette, and I am excited. I am glad that I have it. And even though I received Okavango as PR, this formula, hands down, over Okavango, hands down. And I am glad that I purchased this one instead of just, okay, I got Okavango as PR, I'm not going to spend any more money. When I saw this color story, and when I looked at the formulas that were in here, I knew I was getting this palette, period. And I am really glad that I did. So that will be it for this video. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching this with me. This was exciting for me, seeing the different things that I can do. And I'm always excited, even though it is a lot of work, to strategically go through a palette, do column, row. It's work. And the editing is very time consuming, but I enjoy it because you get to see the process of me working through the entire palette, hear my thoughts as they change or as they don't change as I'm using the palette. And some of you enjoy that too, which I'm glad that you do. And I'm thinking there's something else I want to say, but I can't think. So I'm going to end this because this is long, as you see. I appreciate you being here. Let me know your thoughts on the looks. Right now, I think this is my favorite. But I have to look back and see. Look number 5, I think, the top row. I really like that one too, and I think it was just the tones of it. But this is my vibe. The swamp water with a little bit of shine, the contrasting liner. It's something about a mustard liner with green shadow. It's just something about it. But I know I'm repeating myself. I'm enjoying this. I am. I'm going to put it down for a nap, and we're going to move on to other things. We have some exciting things coming up for July. We're going to do a month of McGrath. So as you're watching, just think if you can dupe the colors or do a similar look for those of you who don't have the motherships that I do. Thank you for being here. As always, self-acceptance, self-love, that is the Crazy Troll Nation way. You will see me soon.